Welcome back to another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder. I'm here at Horns Eye Studio, and that means each one of these videos is less than 666 seconds or 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So let's get to business. As always, right to it, not wasting anybody's time. But I did want to talk about something that I do think is somewhat controversial, but I'm going to bring it up, okay? Going to discuss the fact, or the question I should say, is, was Kaylee pregnant? All right. And before you get all crazy, just hear me out. Okay. This video is for informational purposes only. These are just my opinions and speculation. I'm not saying anybody's guilty of anything. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. We're just talking about a case that interests us. Now, before I get started on this one, I wanted to make a statement. Now, I realize that if Kaylee was pregnant at the time of these crimes, there would be an additional charge for the additional victim, okay? Especially in a right-leaning state like Idaho, okay? So keep that in mind as I bring this up to discuss, because I knew I was going to see this all over the comments. I get that. Just hear me out. I'm also not victim shaming in the least with this video at all. All I'm trying to do is explore an idea that came to me about the Idaho 4. And I know that the other channels have brought this kind of stuff up, but I wanted to discuss it my own way. Now, I was watching some content and the subject of Jack DuCoeur came up. And I've done a couple of videos about him, and many of you in the comments believe that he may have had something to do with these crimes. Lots of suspicion there. And when you think about it, you know, the partner or ex-partner of a victim is always number one. And law enforcement really gives them a good look. And as we've heard, Jack got cleared very early. I mean, only I think a couple weeks or a week into this investigation, he's cleared, nothing to see here. And I'm just wondering how that's even possible to go through all of what they would have had to go through, all the phones, the social media, video surveillance to see if he was walking to the house from his apartment. You know, these things, I mean, would take a lot of time. I'm not seeing that being done that quickly. So I'm just finding it very hard to believe. Now, what about Kaylee and Maddie calling him 10 times? 10 times. From like 2:25 to 2:52 a.m. In my opinion, this is moments before things kicked off for those two victims. I feel Xana and Ethan were attacked earlier, like maybe around 2:15 a.m., and I believe the assailants laid in wait for the two girls when they got home and then proceeded to attack Kaylee and Maddie on the third floor. Now, maybe they heard noises downstairs, and that's why they were calling Jack. He lived very close, just a 30-second walk away. But again, just don't know here. Jack's alibi is weak. I mean, just like everybody else's alibi in this story is weak. He claims he was sleeping, and that's why he didn't answer the phone. And he was at the corner club, though, we know, at like 1:30, 1:32 in that still shot. And they called him at like 2:25, 2:30. So that's less than an hour later. And so I'm just wondering, did he like race home, jump in bed, and fall asleep instantly? Again, very suspicious. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I've heard that Jack was very jealous and had left some really nasty comments on some of Kaylee's social media. And they broke up like 2 to 3 weeks before these crimes. After a 5-year relationship, especially at that age, it's no wonder he was devastated when Kaylee ended it. Not to mention the news that she was taking a job in Austin, Texas, and moving away with the dog that they co-owned. This would be rough for anybody to deal with. We know that Jack was a tremendous athlete and participated in an axe throwing competition that night before that was going on in Moscow. Now, there's nothing wrong with somebody doing that, of course, But when you look at the total situation and the extent of the injuries to these victims, it does give pause. I mean, I'm going to be honest here, especially since Kaylee's injuries were said to be absolutely horrific and worse than any of the others. So many of you in the comments have asked me if I thought Kaylee was pregnant. Now, I don't know, but I'm just thinking about it here. If that were the case, let's just say, I would assume that there would be 5 victims and not 4, and Bryan Kohberger would be facing an additional charge. But that, wasn't the case. So what if she was pregnant, say, a month before the crimes happened, and maybe had an abortion or lost the baby? Again, pure conjecture, just wondering, okay? I'm not saying anything negative about either of those two things. All I'm saying is that an event like that could be the source of an argument between a couple, and maybe she wanted to terminate the pregnancy and he didn't, and she was looking to move away and maybe get a fresh start in Austin without him in the picture. I mean, that would certainly kick things up a bit if Jack was already upset. Or if she lost the baby by, say, natural means, those things can really tear up a couple and could have potentially led to some sort of breakup. Again, pure conjecture. I'm just tossing it out there to see what you guys think about that. I mean, was this Kaylee, is this why she wasn't living at King Road anymore? I mean, she spent time at her parents' place in Rathdrum and still had her finals to take before she could graduate. So why would she leave the house before the semester was over? Maybe she did lose the baby and was recovering at home. Or maybe she went over to Washington for an abortion because it was illegal in the state of Idaho at the time. So again, I'm just speculating, but I'm just wondering why she left. Or did she know about something getting ready to go down, and that's why she left? Hard to say. Now, I believe the crimes that happened in Moscow were for different reasons. I've been exploring some new things, and I'm trying to refine it before I come forward with a new updated theory to how I think this may have happened. Learning a lot more things, more stuff is kind of starting to fall into place for me. I do believe that each of the 4 victims were chosen for different reasons. I'm not going to get into the theory now, but when it comes to Kaylee and the extent of her injuries, it really leads me to believe that whoever did that to her really despised her. That was pure hatred. I also believe that some sort of message was left on the walls that led the police to think that the attack was targeted. The only other way they would have known was like the discovery of a note, which I would find not smart because they could figure out maybe where that came from. So the message on the wall seems more likely, to me at least, or potentially an informant that told them basically what happened. That's the only thing that I could figure out. I don't know if she was pregnant or not. Since many of you guys were asking about it, I thought I would do a video and weigh in on what I think. Of course, anything is possible, right? If she was, it could have complicated things a lot more, especially with an ex-boyfriend with a jealous streak. I've also heard rumors that circulated that, Jack was bulking up with steroids. And if that's true, it could certainly explain an even shorter fuse. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Comment below. And I do want to thank the members of the Horns High Club. You guys are awesome. I sure appreciate that support. You guys help make it happen. And all of you guys contribute. I appreciate it very much. Make sure you like, make sure you drop a comment, share it, and that all helps move this thing, put it in front of more people. So, all right, well, we'll see you next time on 666 Seconds of Murder.